I'm not really proud of this. Hey YouTube, wanna welcome you back to the channel. One of the identities for this channel is that we are here to have fun, we are the casual gamers, we're here to have a great game, not just for us, but together with our opponent. However, that doesn't mean from time to time we are incapable of creating something that is really dark and disgusting. This is one of those times. I don't know what's happening, maybe it's all this negativity that's coming from all the world inside me and I need to let it out. So I have a deck for you here that we are going to be aggro and we're going to swing with crit. At the same time, we're going to destroy the hands of the opponent, and at the same time that we are going to be immune to hand destruction. I hope I got you guys really excited. See you guys after the short intro. Alright, what's up YouTube? Welcome back from the intro. We are gonna go straight and talk about the leader, Broly. This is such a popular character in the Dragon Ball Super series, and at the same time it's also a very popular character leader card in the card game because he is that powerful. Alright, activate main. Once per game you get to choose one Frieza Army card with a cost of 1 and add it into hands. There are multiple of target, but there is one that matters, so I'm gonna show you that later. And when your life is 4 or less, you get to untap one of your energy and then you draw one card. And on his awakened side, that's when the beast is unleashed. Not just the artwork alone, but on the effect itself. So permanent, you can only play 2 battle cards, nothing more. And it's a balance mechanics because we're gonna swing so hard, we're gonna swing so fast, and we're gonna having a lot of so they try to keep it balanced and not to have too many battle cards, right? So sparking 7, this is when this card is so unique because when this card attacks, you draw cards until you have 6 cards in your hands. On the good part is that you are totally immune to hand destruction, but you will never draw more than 6 cards because if you have 6 cards in your hands, this is not gonna work. But your opponent can destroy your hands as much as possible. Once you swing with the leader, you draw back 6 cards. Activate main. Once per turn, you get to choose one of your battle card and one of your opponent's battle card, and then you KO the card. It's not either or, you have to have both. So your opponent needs to have a battle card, you have to have a battle card, and then you KO both. That's when this thing can happen. Alright, so what does this leader have? Number 1, he has inbuilt board control, and number 2, he is immune to hand destruction. So that's what we're gonna work with here. Alright, so we're going to talk about the Broly chain, and so this would be the target that you want to use with your Broly's leader's ability. He is a 1-cost green Frieza Army card, and when you play this card from your hands, if your leader card is a green Frieza Army, you get to choose 2 cards from your life and add it into your hands. No discussion, 2 cards into your hands. And when this card is being removed from the battle area by a skill KO, if it's just being removed, right, what you're gonna do here is you can choose to take 1 or 2 cards in your hands, and then you get to play a Broly card with energy cost of 4 from your hands, and you play it. So on the contrary, we are not going to go with the main Broly chain, and I'm going to tell you the reason why, because we are going to give some crit pressure here. It's a different idea altogether, right? But I believe that after I explain everything, things will come together. So Broly rushing forth, critical, 20k, very good. Because you're kind of coming off from this 1 energy guy, right? When this card is removed from a battle area by a skill KO, which is the same, you get to choose 2 cards from your hands and place them in your drop area. And then you get to choose 1 green Broly card with a cost of 7, and then you get to play it. And we're gonna play with this guy, starter deck Broly. So he is crit, and he's 7 drop, activate battle. Once per turn, you get to burst 3, which is you take the 3 cards from your deck, and then you put it into your drop area, so you kind of mill yourself. Your opponent chooses 1 card from their hands and places it in the drop area. Take note, it is activate battle, so it doesn't, you could do it during your opponent's battle, during your opponent's turn also, once per turn. So when you swing, you burst 3, your opponent's drop 1. Your opponent swings during his turn, you burst 3, your opponent's drop 1. So this guy, as long as he is on the board, your opponent is going to drop 1 card every single turn, and that is the pressure. And on top of that, we are going to give them crit pressure, so they cannot choose to take the life from double strike just to add to their hand size, because that is not going to matter. They have to deal with a 20k crit and a 30k crit that is gonna stay on the board. Yep. And if they take, if they're gonna remove this whole thing, if they're gonna, and if this chain get popped, you have Tragic Awakening, which basically means you pay 3 energy, take 1 of the energy and put it into the drop area. Please use the energy that you tap, and then you get to bring this 4-drop Broly back, and then you start the chain all over again, because all you have to do is to KO this guy, and then you get the Broly the Ravager on the board again. Yep. So what your opponent needs to deal with a 20k crit. Your opponent needs to deal with 30k crit. In order, so your opponent has to try to combo out, or they are guaranteed to take that damage. At the same time, at every single turn, during your turn and your opponent's turn, your opponent is going to drop 1. With that alone, I would say that is okay. That is okay. That's not a crazily over busted thing. But what we're going to do here is I'm going to show you my Unison card, and then everything is going to piece together why I chose this chain. So, SS Bardock's Paternal Unison. This is our Unison card of choice. Also, when your opponent combos, you may place up to 1 card from your combo area in its owner's drop area, and when you do, you negate the skill for the turn. So once per turn, you get to do that. When your opponent combos, you can say, a checkpoint is created, and you go, should I throw away this? Should I throw away this? Every time your opponent combos, right? But until you use that, then it's gone for the turn. So when you swing with 20k crit and that 30k crit, your opponent, if they don't want to take the damage, other than negating, they need to combo even harder. So your opponent has to even waste more hands, 4 size cards in your hands just to combo out. So it's not just giving a crit pressure, it is not just destroying their hands, your opponent has to combo even harder. And if you think, wow, that's really good Sensu power, what are we gonna have next? I'm gonna show you the +1 ability. Activate main, +1. You may choose one of your green battle card with an energy cost of 1 and KO it. If you do so, your opponent chooses 1 card in their hands and discard it. So every turn you get to play something which is 1 drop, and then you KO it, and your opponent needs to discard 1 card in their hands. So your opponent is discarding from Broly, your opponent has to deal with that crit pressure, your opponent has to discard 1 from this, and your opponent has to combo even harder. And more than just that, activate main -3, this card gets 5k and triple attack for the turn. So now your opponent is just harder to combo out of your crit pressure. Your opponent has to discard every single turn, and not just your turn, but his turn as well. And then your opponent needs to face something with triple attack. Situational, but when you get there, if your opponent is down to 1 life and you want to give the pressure, why not? Yep. So what are the 1 card options that we have? These are all this 1 cost option. So the best one is definitely Broly Unrealized Ambition, because you can play him and then pop him, and you get to go up the chain. Paragus Deadly Premonition. These are all searches. This kind of helps you to draw a card, and then you get to pop something on your board if you need to. And Paragus Deadly Premonition, it's really good because you get to search and put the Broly that you need into your hands, but at the same time, when this card is removed from battle area by a skill, which is your skill, you get to untap 1 of your energy. So he is basically a free play. Play him, look up to top 5, add a Broly into your hands, use Bardock to pop him, untap back that 1 energy. So that's it. Right, unfortunately we are gonna be playing with Rebrand. I don't know what card to sub with other than this one, because it's really good synergy in the deck. I understand it's very expensive, there's nothing we can do about this, it's just how draft boxes are handled. So, but let me talk about, if you have this card, you should really play it in this deck, because Rebrand Punishing Passion, even more crazy pressure, because your chain doesn't really need energy, right? Basically it's 1 drop. So when blade testing, I realized I have a lot of free energy on the board, and Rebrand just stacks really well in this deck because, number 1, she can be used with this burst 3. And when you're burst 3, if Rebrand is on the drop area, you can tap 2, send it to warp, and your opponent discard 2. Or if you want to go up the chain, Rebrand it's in your hands, use her to discard. So it's just perfect. Either you discard it from your hands if you have it in your hands for the chain, or then she becomes a target for your burst 3, that when it goes to the drop area, you can still do something about this, right? So Let me show you what. So this is basically a turn 3 how it looks like. So you have Bardox over here that it's gonna -1 from your opponent. Your opponent needs to drop 1, and when Broly swings, your opponent has to drop 1 because it's burst and it's critical. And activate main, you tap 2. Your opponent has to discard 2. So this is turn 3, your opponent has to discard 4 already. But at the same time, don't forget, your opponent has to deal with this critical pressure, so your opponent will never gain. Your opponent will never gain hand size because they have to deal with a 30k crit, and then if the 20k crit was there, your opponent has to deal with 20k crit also at the same time. But if your opponent wants to do something about it, they will -1 from negate, or they will -heart from comboing. But when it comes to combo, you have something that's on the board that is a combo killer, like Bardox. So your opponent has to waste even more. But if this is not the end of it, because when your opponent swings back during his turn, your opponent has to additionally -1 because it is burst 3. Your opponent has to drop even more cards. Alright, that's how the deck works. One thing to take note over here is the Doria brimming with power. This card, it's pretty good. It is a very good card. Please, so if you guys get this card. Counterplay, if your leader card is mono green and then you have green unison card in play, if the battle card is played with energy 2 or less, it is placed in its owner's drop area instead. So we have a lot of negate that is coming out that when they negate, they have to play the card. When they negate, they play the card. Those are totally fine, but a lot of them have auto that is something that we want to deal with. One of the card is Topo Righteous Aid. This is a famous card, but let me, because over here counterattack, he choose 1 card from their hands and place it in their drop area. It negates the attack and play this card. However, there is this auto that we want to deal with over here. If it's your opponent's turn, when you play this card, for the duration of the turn, your opponent can't attack unless they choose 2 cards in their hands and place them in their drop area each time. So when your opponent wants to attack even more, your opponent has to drop 2, drop 2, drop 2. So he is really good when it against aggressor. So this deck, it's rather aggressive, and you might argue and say, oh, this card stops it right out of the gate, ain't it? So we want to use the Doria to stop Topo. My answer to you is that no. If your opponent wants to Topo, let him Topo, because he will lose out in the end, because Topo is a 2-card negate. So your opponent, when you swing with Broly, your opponent Topo, and then he drops 1 card in your hands. That's a neg 2. And your opponent thinks, oh, he is not going to swing anymore. At least he's not going to swing anymore. He can't activate battle to make me drop 1 more card. The truth is, no, we are going to swing because our leader is immune to hand destruction. So swing with your leader. Make your pay the 2 cards in your hands, because why not? And then your leader's auto comes into play, and then you draw cards until you have 6. So Topo doesn't stop this deck at all because your leader is immune to hand destruction. So why are we playing this card? Because of this lady, Kakunza Beastly Maidens. Unfortunately, this card has gone up in price because she is really good. Counter attack, negate the attack, play this card, and she is the 2 cost technically. So it falls under the Doria. Yeah. When you play this card, you get to choose up to one of your opponent's battle card and KO it. That's pretty crazy. So when you swing with your Broly and then they use Kakunza to negate and then KO your Broly, Doria, they still negate the attack, but your Broly stays on the board. So keep that Doria in your hands if your opponent is playing green, because this card is pretty crazy. But if your opponent's Topo, God bless his heart, he's gonna drop even more cards. Alright, so here is the deck list. Again, I apologize, this is not a cheap deck. Rebrand, you could replace this Broly, because unless it's in your hands with this burst 3, usually I see it in a drop area, so this big Broly is not exactly something that we need. However, this Rebrand really makes the deck ticks very well. Alright, and some of these cards to consider for putting in is a self Earth destroying Kamehameha, so why not? You get to destroy their hands even more, furthering destruction Champa. Really good card. We have nothing to take care of the board unless you're leader, but when it comes to barrier we have nothing to take care of the board. So Rebrand, Avatar, Faction, if there is something that you need to take care of the board, you're playing against a deck that has a lot of board, maybe this is something that you want, right? So this is basically it. And of course at the same time there is this Black Goku. The new Black Goku that is 20k crit that comes out if your leader is green and your opponent discard a card. That is a card that we can use too, because it's pretty good, because it has an activate main that you could send it to the drop and KO something. So you can even swing with a 20k crit, and then it's a free 20k crit that you could even send it to activate main, and then you KO something from your opponent's battle area at the same time. So that is also a pretty good card. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna put it up here in this video. All right, guys, I hope you like the deck. This is pretty crazy. Play it out, try it. It's very disgusting. So guys, see you guys in the next video. All right, ciao, bye.